God.
I know, but I just thought
Okay.
of 3 stories I want to hear, so we have to remember those. Go ahead.
He's just making a menu.
Well, anyway, this was a nice apartment. Captain Fleming, who was a friend of Mr. McBride's, he was a captain on the police force, and he owned a lot of property, and he owned this building on East 82nd. Only police captains can afford to own apartment buildings. Anyway.
Why is that?
Well, they were good investors.
I see.
Anyway, it had a living room and a nice bedroom, a bath with a shower, a big walk-in closet, and then a dinette and kitchen, which were sort of one.
Where did Bethy sleep when she was?
No,
Oh.
we're not there yet.
Oh.
And then that was in '49. I worked for Dr. Fetterman when I graduated from college in '48. This was a psychological, yeah. Well, I actually started to work, no, I worked for F.W. Dodge Corporation.
What did
before
you
that.
study in college?
English and history were my 2 major interests.
At what, Adelbert?
Well, I went to some classes there.
No, but what was the...
Well, I started
college
out in the
graduate.
School of Education. I was going to be an elementary school teacher. And after the first semester in taking the courses that you had to take them to be an elementary school teacher, I said, I will go crazy if I have to do this for the next 4 years of my life. Learning whether the window shades are halfway up or halfway down. And I know I just couldn't stand all of that stuff. It was not challenging, and I just couldn't accept it. So anyway, I ended up going, I finally wound up at Cleveland College because I was working part-time all the time that I went to college. I worked for Freedom Calculator Company, and I held a number of...
What was the calculator at that point?
A calculator, the thing was about this big. They used to do all the railroad work, because that's where calculators really function extremely well. It had a carriage on it about this long, this wide, I mean, and when you put numbers in on these calculators, when you think of the little hand calculator that you get for $5.95, you know, in a drugstore today, those big Freedom calculators were huge. You'd punch in numbers and it would go ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. The carriage would move, the numbers would go. I mean, it was you're talking heavy-duty operation.
Grandpa Joe had one.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't your
Oh,
first
but not
job
like
at
the
Learners,
calculators for the, pardon?
I'm sorry. Wasn't your first job at Learners, I thought?
Oh, no, those were, back in Chicago, I used to work
Look at Learners.
I lurked in the ready-to-wear shops.
Your grandmother is a...
We used to call them a little...
kleptomaniac.
The schlock shops. And I was a very good salesman.
You're a good schlocker.
Well, and not only that, but I want you to know, I originally got my first Social Security card, and I lied about my age, because I didn't realize that you didn't have to be 16 to get a Social Security card. And I was 14, and I wanted to go to work. So when I signed up for my Social Security card, I said I was 2 years older than I really was. And I always looked older. I was tall, because for my generation, I was always the tallest girl in the class. And so I straightened that out with Social Security. They now know how old I am.
Does Ben?
Even Ben knows. But it was a long time before he found out.
I remember when
he found my passport, and then he looked and he said, "Wait a minute, that's an airplane."
Which was hard for me to figure
Which
out.
was not too easy for Ben, because that's not his strong suit.
Oh, he was a late kid anyway.
But he wasn't that little.
He was 19 when he figured it out.
I was like 12 or
I had him going, well, my brother used to say, yeah, if Laurie keeps this up, pretty soon she's going to be younger than I am.
Mother, when did you go to Taiwan?
Went to Taiwan in '78, I think.
Okay,
79.
78 or 79.
I think it was.
We got married in '78. Somehow that references the trip.
Well, then that's when we went. We went in the fall, of August of '78.
And you went to China in?
I went to China in November, well, this is '88, was it '87? I guess it was November of '87. Right?
Why didn't you come to Japan? We'll just leave that as a question you don't have to answer.
You mean when I went to China, why didn't I go to Japan?
No, when I lived there, I've always wondered why you never came.
I think it was a question of money.
Why did you always say it was time?
Well, it was
Time is money.
Time is money. Thank you, Benjamin.
That doesn't do it, Benjamin.
I think we're getting to a significant...
You couldn't afford to come and stay with me?
No, I couldn't afford the flight. It was very expensive to fly there, and then to live. The cost of living there at that time was extraordinarily high. If you recall, it was something like $25 for lunch, 25 US for lunch.
Excuse me, when I was there,
Uh-huh.
it was not. I spoke Japanese. We didn't eat $25 lunches.
Well,
We went out to lunch for $3 maybe.
well, mine cost me $1,200 to get there. And then, of course, let's face it, my marriage was rather shaky at that point.
Shaky?
Shaky?
Why? What do you mean?
Now.
You
We
have to
can't
tell
go
the
in.
Niagara
I
Falls
don't intend to
story.
put everything on tape.
You were living with Dad
You have to
then.
do
Yes,
the
I know I
Niagara
was
Falls
living
story.
No,
What?
you weren't.
Wait a minute, you've already knocked that before.
I know.
Wait a
That's
minute,
why we
wait a
put
minute.
another thing on the menu, the Niagara Falls story.
Lamb chop.
But wait,
What are we
but
doing
Oh, the
now?
Niagara Falls story? Yeah, that was funny.
you weren't living with Dad when I was in Japan.
When
What are we doing now? Can we
81 to 84.
cut the traveling?
Let's do it. You're jumping around.
She's having grandchildren.
But excuse me, I'm doing this also
Beth,
because
you're
I'm
not
here.
born yet. Will you shut up?
But I'm here. That's why you wanted to do this.
So you're gonna pick a fight with
Don't
Mother about why
argue
she
about
didn't come to
Lori,
Japan
about
on
why
I'm
she
tape?
asking her why
you.
she didn't.
Because I couldn't afford to.
Thank you.
It was just that
Thank you.
simple. I simply could not afford it.
You should tell me that at the same time. It's a busy time of the year, but Mom.
Anyway, Beth was due around June the 15th. And the morning, I remember she was born on a Saturday. And it was the day before Mother's Day.
Oh.
And I said she was in a hurry because she wanted to make me into a mother.
Oh.
And I remember having the symptoms, and I read the book, you know, exactly what would happen. I said, but this is too soon. This is too early. These things shouldn't be happening. My pregnancy was a perfectly natural, normal pregnancy. As I say, I did not suffer from the kinds of discomfort that many women do have during pregnancy. I was very fortunate, and I felt very good while I was pregnant, and I enjoyed being pregnant. And then I had these symptoms, and then I called the doctor, and I started telling him about these symptoms, and he said, well, I think maybe you better go into the hospital. So Marvin took me down there, and oh no, I remember what I woke up during the night feeling, after going through these symptoms during the day, and I had even said I was not going to, that was on Friday, and I said I wasn't going to drive to the office on Friday because I didn't feel comfortable about driving that day. And then during the night, that Friday night, I woke up with what were obvious contractions. So I got up, and I remember folding the laundry because I had just brought the laundry up from downstairs. And we had moved at this point from East 82nd to 2425 Overlook Road, the yellow building just up the street, where we had a nice one-bedroom apartment with a dining room, a living room, and we had a sofa bed in the living room, and we actually set the bedroom up finally as a nursery. And then as I say, I woke up during the night, I took a shower, I painted my toenails.
How'd you reach your toenails?
Well, I managed, and
It was
I
desperate.
reached my toenails because I can't get into the stirrups with unpainted toenails.
Oh, Laurie.
Oh,
That's
God.
Well, listen, let me tell you, there's no position in the world that's quite as upsetting.
Unfeeling.
Yes, as
So you might as well have painted.
So I might as well have painted toenails, and I folded the laundry, and then I remember calling the doctor, and he said, all right, I want you to keep track of